All right, we're back. So I've since removed this additional piece of sheet metal here that I've been working on, and I have cut it down to size and I've trimmed it as best I can and got my ends lined up on either side. Went down to Harbor Freight and picked up some of these vice grips here, you know, that do like that, to make preparations for spot welding. Went ahead and lopped off that, if you recall, had that extra high piece of metal underneath there, and I lopped that off to make it a smooth transition all the way across. And anyway, so this is just held in place here, and I've got it cut down, I've got it deburred. So the next thing on my list now is to go ahead and remove this and do some general cleanup. Got a couple of rust spots here and there I still want to sand down a little bit, but we can't get it all because it's just, well, it's just way up in there. You just can't get to it. We're going to do the best we can at cleaning that rust up a little bit with a mechanical means. And after that, we're going to go ahead and do a metal prep with POR15 Metal Prep. It's a metal etching rust neutralizer. So what we'll do is we'll put that in a spray bottle. We'll take this strip off clearly. And then we'll get that metal prep pretty much everywhere. Just get it all up in the nooks and crannies and just, you know, treat the rust as best we can, right? It'll convert all the rust and basically put a sort of a gray tinge to the metal and puts a coating on it, adds some zinc, I think. And you can weld through that too. Before we spot weld this piece on, we're gonna go ahead and do some painting with this Seymour Weld Thru primer. Part number 20-1675. So that paint will get in between these two surfaces right here before we do our spot welding. Once we get this piece up here welded on, attached, and that is done, completely done, I will make a patch for this area right here, and then I think the top part will be done. And then we can move on and address these corners. There's a little bit of rust here that we need to address. And this piece of metal here is, I don't know, it's a little flimsy. I may end up replacing this, or maybe I'll just add a piece of metal to it and maybe spot weld to it. That's a possibility as well. Haven't figured that out yet, but we'll get to it. All right, so enough chatter. Let's go ahead and start cleaning up. All right, I got this nylon looking thing here. See how well this works on this this rust. See that rust down in there? I just want to, you know, fix that up a little bit. The more rust we can get off of there, the less job the rust conversion chemicals have to do. Let's work on this little area right here just to see what this nylon looking thing will do. It's not bad. I think we can get the large scale off. This little spot right here was bugging me. As you can see, it's really hard to get in there. I put it on the edge of this small die grinder so I can get fairly far down in there. That works pretty good, actually. Got this little nasty area right here. Let's see what we can do about that. It's better. Probably have to leave the rest of it to the chemicals to handle. And we got a hole right here. We'll have to trim that off and fill that in. That worked out pretty well, actually. I think we got most of the surface rust off of there. I feel better about that. That's still pretty nasty. We're gonna have to clean that up. There's a line of rust down inside there. I think the only way to get to it with a physical abrasive is if I just bought a larger one of these. You know what? I'm just not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna let the chemicals do their job. Let's clean up this area right here a little bit. And not too shabby. Got a lot of brazing in there as well, so that yellow color you see is brazing, which will stay, won't go anywhere. Still pretty cruddy looking, but you know, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a general vacuum cleaning of this. Gonna do a little degreasing, and for the degreasing, they offer, POR15 offers a degreaser for this type of work, but I looked at the physical data sheet for it, and it's just a different flavor of caustic soda, right? So it's potassium hydroxide, which is what is in the degreaser that you get from POR15. Or you can just go get a bottle of Superclean, and its base or caustic soda type cleaner is sodium hydroxide. They're, you know, they're kind of like kissing cousins, right? They work about the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the Superclean to degrease this, and then after that we'll do our metal prep. So whether or not you agree or disagree with this is really of no concern to me. But the fact is, you know, we just got to do some cleanup, right? We can't just, you know, leave this stuff a mess, right? So, you know, there's lots of dirt there that we need to get rid of before we move on to the next step. And I did a little grinding there on that center patch where I welded in that piece of patch metal there. Really hard to get to right in there because you don't have a lot of space, right? So I went and found a 4-inch flap disc and put that on my angle grinder. And it worked kind of okay, but it still didn't have a lot of room. So ultimately, I found some 40 grit sanding discs for this little die grinder. And they're only about that big around, so I was able to get in there and knock that down pretty good. I really don't care what it looks like, to be honest, because the trim is going to be over this, right? And that's really the only reason I did it, was because I wanted the trim inside the car to, you know, sit down on the metal the way it's supposed to. So that's the whole reason I did that. So this will probably take, you know, 1,000,000 hours to clean up. We want to get all the grease and stuff out of here before we start treating this metal. I have to be really careful. This is like literally a razor. Again, I should be wearing gloves, but I guess I'm just too stupid for that. All right, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean this up, and then after that, we'll move on to the next step, which is treatment of the metal with POR15 Metal Prep. All right, we're ready to put some POR15 Metal Prep on here. You'll note that it is purple. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of noticing an industry trend, and I think that company Royal Purple kind of started it. You know, the idea of putting this purple coloring in all our chemicals. I guess it's I don't know, maybe it seems like it makes them more powerful or makes them stronger. I don't know. Superclean is purple. POR15 Metal Prep is purple. Royal Purple is purple. The only one that isn't is Simple Green. And I don't know why. Anyway, that would be kind of stupid if Simple Green was purple. That'd be downright confusing. All right, so the idea here is to, well, first the idea is to get your pump sprayer to work. Come on, you can do it. Come on, cheap dollar Walmart pump sprayer. Let's turn it on. There we go. It wasn't on, don't tell anybody. All right, so you gotta wet your surfaces. Now I'm gonna get up in there, right where that water was seeping down in that seam, way up in there where you guys can't see. There's some rust way down in that seam down in there. All right, so you're supposed to spray this on and keep the surface wet. I think it's for 15 minutes. There we go. Let me switch hands here. Get up underneath there. That's kind of an awkward place. Get that god-awful ugly patch of mine soaked down. Now it says keep this wet for 15 minutes. Can't let it get dry. It's got to be wet. You know why? I have a theory on that too. That's a heck of a good marketing scheme. if you have to keep it wet, the more product you use, right? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, you know, we weren't born yesterday, okay? This has got really good coverage, so I don't think we'll have any problems with this drying on us. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna follow the directions. I'm gonna spray it down every minute or two, keep it wet for 15 minutes, and let this chemical do its job. All right, we're about 20 or 25 minutes into this process. Forget what I said about the 15-minute time frame earlier. That was a mistake. I misread the instructions. It said keep the surfaces wet for a minimum of 30 minutes. This is about 20 minutes into the process, so you can see this, you know, this was pretty shiny. It's now starting to gray up some as the coating starts to develop. So it said a minimum of half an hour. You can tell it's starting to gray up there, so looks good. I'm gonna do it for an hour. I'm gonna sit out here in the shop and keep this damp for a solid hour. All right, pardon the messy workbench here. We're doing work in this place, folks. All right, so just a quick update on the spot welder and the use of the Weld Thru primer. So I took a couple of pieces of the 20 gauge metal and I painted the insides with the Weld Thru primer, and then I put a series of spot welds on it, and the penetration was excellent. I didn't have any problems with that whatsoever, and afterwards this piece is just firmed up. Man, that is just boom, that's really rigid. So I'm really stoked about adding that one piece of metal to the back of the car over there, spot weld that on. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to get the chain hoist, and I want to suspend some rope right up there and have it down to about right here, and then the chain hoist will hook on. And we'll be able to, with the chain hoist, we'll be able to adjust the height of the spot welder as we see fit. You can see I put this paper down to avoid getting the metal prep on all these other different surfaces. And it's starting to gray up pretty nicely on the old metal prep there. We've been doing that for about, I don't know, about 50 minutes now. So gonna come up on an hour. We'll keep it wet for an hour, and then I don't have a way to hose it off. I don't really want to hose it off. I'm just going to spray it off with a bottle of water here. So, all right, we're right at an hour here. So we're going to go ahead and do the rinse job. We're just going to do it with a spray bottle, however. And we'll hope it goes well. We'll get down up in that area right in there, like that. Spraying this top part should not take but, you know, a moment here. The metal prep should just wash right off, and shouldn't have to really fool with it a lot. I'll be honest with you, I really don't understand why they want you to rinse it with water, to be honest. I want to get underneath there like that. There we go. It may be part of the chemical process. I don't know, but they say rinse it with water, but they just don't say why. Are they concerned that it might work too well? I don't know. All right, that's it. That's as rinsed as mine is gonna get. And we're just gonna let that dry. So there you are. All right, so that's a really simple, uneventful video for an afternoon, because I'm gonna let this sit for at least a day before I come back in here and start to work again. I want this metal prep to really soak in. So, all right, folks, appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I would just like to say to all of those who continue to comment and contribute and help me in these projects, here's a big shout out to you guys. You know who you are. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a good one. And remember to enjoy restoring your classic Mercedes.